Early and recent tampering with historic documents, written by Shani Buddy. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. November 28th, 2017. I found this article, and it's quite interesting regarding how the Utah Mormon Church has modified, altered, or buried its real history, provides us with a fixed or doctored history. It starts April 1st of 1845. Brigham Young brazenly recorded the following: I recommend revising the history of Joseph Smith at Brother Richard's office. Elder Heber C. Kimball and George A. Smith were with me. That's History of the Church, Volume 7, page 380. The date when Brigham Young began revising the history is also corroborated by a note at the top of page 42 of the manuscript, which reads, Tuesday, April 1, commenced revising. Page 42 in the manuscript is in the handwriting of James Mulholland, the first clerk to write the manuscript history book, and deals with a conference held on June 1st or 11th, 1830. There's a link there to a paper, but it says, I noticed the interpolations because having been employed at the historian's office in Nauvoo by Dr. Richards and employed too in 1845 in compiling the very autobiography, I know that Joseph's death, his memoir, was doctored to suit the order of things. And this too by the direct order of Brigham Young to Dr. Richards and systematically by Richards. That's an S. Smith, Biography of Charles Wesley Wandle, Journal of History, January 3, 1910, pages 455 to 63. And then the author of this article goes down and shows the signatures of all these Mormon leaders were affixed to certain documents. The scribes wrote the signatures. So we don't even know if the person's signature really represents the actual testimony of the person, because the scribe is writing the signatures of people that were not present at the time the document was produced. Like most of the journal entries in Volume 1 of the journal series, the Nauvoo journals were written entirely by scribes who accompanied Joseph Smith, not by the Mormon leader himself. Though not a comprehensive history of events, the journals go on and on and on. Now you see, the problem with this whole entry here is there's no proof of when and how these scribes accompanied Joseph Smith, because we have Joseph Smith in hiding. Most of the time he is in Nauvoo. He's staying sometimes 150 miles away at his wife's relative's home. He's staying sometimes in Ohio. In fact, every single time Joseph Smith is arrested during the Nauvoo period, he is arrested outside of the city of Nauvoo. He is never present in Nauvoo at the time of his arrest, showing that most of the time Joseph Smith was outside of Nauvoo in hiding. This fact that Joseph Smith was rarely in Nauvoo is corroborated by an article and the recollections of Josiah Quincy, who visited Joseph Smith in April and May of 1844. When he visited with Josiah Quincy, it is clear from Josiah Quincy's writings that Joseph Smith had barely arrived in Nauvoo just in order to greet him, and he was still dusty and dirty from the long ride, and 30 bodyguards were riding with him. And then Josiah Quincy recounts a hilarious encounter with these 30 men that were sleeping all over the Nauvoo Mansion House, which is a hotel. And Joseph Smith and Josiah Quincy couldn't find a free room in which to have a private conversation. Josiah Quincy also states that they served breakfast to these 30 bodyguards that morning. I mean, how do we know that any of these scribes actually attended with Joseph Smith? We do not. Only the scribes can tell us, and of course, they can make up anything they want. And here is proof that Brigham Young directed the doctoring of these Mormon scholars continue the historical fraud of the Mormon Church, whether intentionally or unintentionally. First, by failing to authenticate any of the documents on which they are basing their histories, and two, by concealing, by ignoring or burying very important facts which would contradict the conventional Utah Mormon history, which smears and defames Joseph Smith, Emma Smith, and the entire Smith clan. This needs to stop. People need to start writing the Utah Mormon Church and demand that they take away Joseph Smith as one of their prophets. Joseph Smith's church is distinctly different and, in fact, 360 degrees opposite of the Brigham Young Church, which we already know by his own admission that he altered, modified, and changed Joseph Smith's own biography and history to fix and to doctor it to fit to the new order of the Brigham Young Church, which is based on theosophy, the occultism of the time, and we can trace it back to the Carthaginians and the Roman Mithraism.